Hello, good morning everyone. Myself Pramod Rao Desai. I am from CSC Department A section. Today I am going to give a seminar about my presentation e-governance. Let's discuss about the introduction of e-governance. E-government can be defined as the use of information and communication. It gives various facilities and interactions between the public and the government. Technologies by government to enhance the range and quality of information, as well as government agencies in an efficient, cost-effective, and convenient manner making. Government processes are more transparent and accountable and strengthening democracy. Let's discuss what is e-governance. Basically, e-governance can be defined as the process to integrate the information and communication technology for carrying out the daily operations of governments. In simple words, e-governance is mainly the interaction between the public and the government. It facilitates many facilities between the government and public. The main aim of this technology is to boost the ability of government for addressing the requirements for normal public. Then let's go through the goals of e-governance. Basically, if you start anything, goal is a very important thing. Let's discuss goal about this e-governance. Creating a better business environment, strengthening good governance and broadening public participation, improving the productivity and efficiency of government agencies, efficiency gains, improving the quality of life for disadvantaged communities. These are the goals of e-governance. Later, there are many types which comes under this e-government topic. Basically, there are four types of e-governance: G2C, G2B, G2E, and G2G. G2C in the sense government to citizen. In simple words, this is the interaction between government and citizens directly. G2B means government to business. This is a direct interaction between the government and the business persons or business groups. The next is G2E, the interaction between government to employees. Finally, G2G, interaction between government to government. These are the four types which comes under this e-governance. Let us discuss about what challenges that India is facing today about this e-governance. Initially, let's start with the lack of integrated services. Actually, most of the e-government services being offered by state or central governments are not integrated. This can mainly be attributed to lack of communication between different departments. So the information that resides with one department has no or very little meaning to some other department of government. The next is lack of key persons. E-governance projects lack of key persons not only from technological aspect but from other aspects as well as population. This is probably the biggest challenge actually. Population is the biggest challenge that is India is facing today. The next is person identities. There is no unique identity of a person in India apart from this measuring the population. Keeping the database of all Indian nationals or some other related challenges. Different languages. A challenge due to diversity of the country. It enforces need to do governance in local languages. Ensuring e-governance in local languages is a big task to achieve here. These are some complex and tough tasks to achieve e-governance successfully in India, as well as to increase the facilities and to interaction between the government and the people. Let us discuss about the advantages of e-governance. There are many advantages which are binded up with this e-governance. Initially, better access to information and quality services for citizens. This is the main aim of this e-governance as well as advantage of this e-governance. ICT would make available timely and reliable information on various aspects of government. In the initial phase, information would be made available with respect to simple aspects of government such as forms, laws, rules, procedures, etc. Public database, decision making process, etc. As regards services, there would be an immediate impact in terms of savings in time, effort, and money. The second advantage is simplicity, efficiency, and accountability in the government. Application of ICT to governance combined with the detailed business process re-engineering would lead to simplification of complicated process, weeding out of redundant process, simplification in structures and challenges in statutes and regulations. The next advantage is expanded reach of governance. Actually, rapid growth of communications technology and these adoptions in governments would help in bringing government machinery to the doorsteps of the citizens. Expansion of the telephone network, rapid strides in mobile telephony, spread of internet, and strengthening of other communication infrastructure would facilitate delivery a large number of services provided by the government. These are the these are some of the advantages which we get from e-governance. Let's discuss about the disadvantages of e-governance. Like advantages, e-governance is also binded up with some of the disadvantages which we are facing today. Loss of interpersonal communication. This means the loss of interaction or loss of proper interaction between the two persons makes e-governance fails. The next is high step cost and technical difficulties. The financial stability as well as economical stability of government or state is also important in this e-governance. The failure in the financial status of the government leads to the failure of e-governance. Illiteracy. Education is very important to understand something or which we have to explain something. So, if you if you implement this e-governance properly, literacy is very important. People with illiterate mindsets or illiterate people can't handle this e-governance. The next is cybercrime, leakage or personal information. Conclusion. Many nations have successfully implemented the e-governance. It can only be applied if the government of the respective country is ready to apply it. Also, it improves the quality of work between the two.